In this video, I'm grinding all the way to max level 2800. With a twist, every time I move to a new island, I must roll a random fruit. But before I can start doing that, I need money. And I have to reach level 50, because only then I can buy a fruit. So for now, I won't roll or change my fruit until I hit level 50. Starting from the Pirate Starter Island, I'll grind here until reaching level 10. After that, I'll move to the Jungle Island, where I'll try to get my first fruit by asking other players for help. Becoming a beggar here requires a good amount of patience, because it's pretty hard to find someone who's willing to give a fruit. After about 6 minutes of looking around, I finally met a kind player who gave me a smoke fruit. And just like that, we got our first fruit. I ended up losing it because another player attacked me. Even though I was standing in the safe zone, they were still able to hit me. So once again, I had no choice but to become a professional beggar. This time, someone gave me a sand fruit. After getting it, I immediately switched to a quiet server so I could safely eat the fruit. By the way, up until now, I've been grinding using only melee. But since we finally have the sand fruit, it's time to move on to the next island. Here, I'm grinding while also leveling up my sand fruit mastery. I kept going until I reached level 58 and saved up about 90,000 money. Since we have enough cash, I'm heading straight to Frozen Village to learn some new abilities. It looks like I don't have enough money to buy Flash Step, so I'll hold on to this 50,000 for now. My plan is to buy an accessory later at Marineford. That accessory will be pretty helpful. It's cheap, easy to get, and it also boosts our damage. After getting some abilities and gear, I went back to the Pirate Island to continue the progress. Now that we're level 60, it's time to head to the Desert Island. But according to the challenge, every time we move to a new island to grind, we have to change our fruit. So before going to Desert Island, we'll stop in the Jungle Island to get a new fruit. It seems we don't have enough money to roll a fruit, so I'm heading back to Pirate Island to get some. On my way there, I ran into a mysterious NPC. He gave me a common scroll and said I could use it to enchant a fishing rod. But since I don't have a fishing rod, and I rely more on Bloxfruits than on swords or guns, there's nothing I can do with it at the moment. Back to the money issue. I immediately took a mission to defeat the chef and open a few chests so I could earn some money. Within a few minutes, I managed to collect enough cash to buy a new fruit. After getting the money, it's time to head to the Jungle Island and replace our fruit with something new and hopefully better. And here we go. We got the rocket fruit. Just like the player behind us, we ended up with trash. But rules are rules. So no matter what I get, I have to eat it. After eating a Temu version of Mythical fruit from Xyles, we finally moved on to the Desert Island to continue our progress. On the way to Desert Island, I ran into Fisherman NPC on Frozen Island. He gave me a fishing rod and some bait, and also explained the fishing feature in the game. I was pretty curious about how the fishing system works, so I decided to try it out. On my very first attempt, I caught a fish and a treasure chest. When I opened it, I got a decent amount of money. I also learned that the fish we catch can be used to make potions and different types of food. I kept fishing, and on the next try, I managed to catch a green Patrick star and another treasure chest. The rewards were the same as before. After that, I continued fishing until I finally obtained a recipe for making fish kebab. To craft it, you need 1 uncommon fish and 2 common fish. Since I only had 1 common fish, I decided to keep fishing. I fished for about 12 minutes and managed to collect a good amount of fish along with 2 new recipes. These recipes were the Berserker's Elixir, which increases our damage by 10%, and the Loot Seeker, which makes hidden chests easier to find. I decided to make several Berserker Elixirs since they're very useful for grinding. After gathering enough ingredients, it was time to continue the journey to the Desert Island. Welcome to the Desert Island. It's time for us to grind here. By the way, the duration of this potion is only 2 minutes. It feels a bit wasteful because the effect runs out really fast. I barely finished 1 quest and the buff was almost gone. I think this potion is meant more for PvP rather than grinding. After defeating the NPCs and reaching level 90, it's time to leave this sandy island and replace our fruit. Well, at least it's not another rocket. Moving on to Frozen Village, I continued grinding while testing the abilities of this fruit. Honestly, the spin fruit is even worse than the rocket. The cooldowns are long, the skills require high mastery to unlock, and the damage is lower compared to rocket. So yeah, this is definitely a downgrade. But luckily, I didn't get discouraged and just kept grinding until I finally reached level 120. Now that we've hit level 120, we can replace this fruit and continue to Marineford. I went straight to the jungle island to roll our next fruit, and here we go. We actually got the Mythical gas fruit. It's one of the best fruits for grinding, so getting a Mythical this early in the game made me really happy. Now we don't have to suffer with rocket and spin fruit, at least for now. Continuing to Marineford, I bought a dual flintlock so I can herd the enemies into one spot and finish them off using the gas fruit we just got. Speaking of this fruit, it's actually really good. It has a wide area of damage and even comes with an M1 attack. The only downside is that early in the game, you need a high mastery level to unlock all of its potential. And since we can only use this fruit on this one island and will replace it after finishing Marineford, I won't be able to use all of its abilities. I kept grinding here until I finally reached level 150 and could move on to Skyland. That also means it's time to say goodbye to the gas fruit, because we have to change our fruit again. And this time, we got the spring fruit. Such a huge downgrade. After rolled a spring fruit, I continued my journey to Skyland. There, the first thing I saw was an NPC named Angler. I heard that he can give us a gold fishing rod, so I decided to try the quest. Here he told me to make 3 perfect casts, and after completing it, I didn't get the gold fishing rod. Moving on with the progress, I continued grinding using the spring fruit. Honestly, it's not that bad. You don't need a lot of mastery levels, the damage is pretty good for early game, and the skills are simple and easy to use. So yeah, this fruit is definitely way better than spin or rocket fruit. I kept grinding here until I finally reached level 190. That means we can change our fruit again. Before leaving, I decided to check the Angler NPC one more time. This time, he gave me a new quest. It's pretty simple. Use our fishing rod skill 3 times. After completing it, all I got was some money and a bit of EXP. But I have a feeling that if we keep doing his quests, he might eventually give a good reward. After dealing with the Angler, I went to replace my fruit, and this is what I got, spring fruit again. After awakening the spring fruit, I headed to Prison Island to continue the journey. I keep grinding here using my awakened spring fruit, and suddenly a fruit spawned, an eagle fruit. Of course, I picked it up, but I didn't eat it. I continued grinding until I reached level 252. Now we can roll another fruit and move on to the next island. Here, as usual, we meet Zioles. And as usual, he gives us trash. I ate the fruit he gave, and then continued to the Colosseum. We'll be grinding here until we're able to move to the next island. By the way, the spring fruit that I insulted earlier is actually way better than this spin fruit. But, well, at least we managed to reach level 300, so now we can replace our fruit and leave this island. For the next fruit, here we got the Quake fruit. This one is definitely better than the spin fruit. Even though it doesn't feel great at first because it needs a high mastery level, once you unlock at least 3 skills, you can clear 4 NPCs with just those 3 moves, which is pretty easy. I keep grinding with this fruit until we finally reached level 375. It's a shame we didn't get the chance to try the X move from this fruit. As usual before we moved into the next island, here I roll a new fruit, and this time we got the sand fruit. Moving on to the underwater city, I continued grinding until I reached level 450. I went to roll another fruit, and we got the smoke fruit. I continued to Upper Sky Island, and grinded there until I reached level 650. Speaking of the quests given by the Angler, if we complete his mission 15 times, we'll receive a gold rod. And I finally got it. After getting Goldenrod from Angler, I went to the jungle to roll another fruit. Here, I ended up getting the rocket fruit for the second time. Before moving on to Fountain City, I decided to do the Saber quest so I could unlock the instinct ability. I'm sure most of you already know how this quest works, so I won't explain it. I just completed the quest and then bought the instinct ability for 750,000 berry. I continued to Fountain City and grinded there until I reached level 700. After that, I started the quest that allows us to enter the second sea. I'm sure most of you already know how this quest works. We just have to go to Prison Island and meet the NPC there. He'll give us a key, and we use that key to open a door in Frozen Island. There, we fight Aokaji, and after defeating him, we return to the military detective to finish the quest. Once that's done, we head to Middletown and talk to the experienced captain, and he's the one who takes us to the second sea. Upon arriving in the second sea, I went to the celebration event to buy a fruit, and also to get some new accessories we could use. From the event, we got the Rinnegan cloak and the sand fruit. After getting some new accessories and a pretty bad fruit for the second sea, I started grinding again until I reached level 800. By the way, I accidentally ate the eagle fruit during this process, but don't worry, at the end of the video, I'll take one punishment to keep everything fair. Surprisingly, this fruit is actually really good for grinding. It's much better than the sand fruit, which doesn't even have an M1 ability. And since eagle fruit was recently buffed, its damage has increased significantly, making it much easier for us to clear enemies. After reaching level 875, it was time for us to replace this fruit and move on to the next island. This time, I got the ice fruit. I wanted to upgrade my human race to V2 so I could move faster. To upgrade the race, we need to complete a quest from the alchemist NPC, but he won't give us the quest until we finish the one from Bartilo. So I went straight to Bartilo's quest, which requires us to defeat 50 swan pirates, then defeat Jeremy, and after that, free the gladiators underneath the Colosseum. After completing Bartilo's quest, I continued to the green zone to meet the alchemist. He asked me to collect 3 flowers, the red, yellow, and blue flowers. After bringing all of them back, he upgraded our race for 500,000 Bali. With this upgrade, we can move much faster, because Human V2 increases our dash speed, which is very useful for grinding. After getting Human V2, the grind became much easier. Even though the NPCs on this map were spread far apart, the Ice Fruit's M1 ability combined with the increased dash speed from Human V2 helped a lot. With that, I was able to grind pretty quickly until I finally reached level 950. After reaching level 950, I rolled a fruit and ended up getting the Oni helmet and the diamond fruit. I continued to Graveyard Island, one of my favorite maps in the second sea, because the NPCs are so close together, especially the zombies. Grinding here was really easy, and I eventually reached level 1024 without any trouble. As usual, before moving to the next island, we have to replace our fruit. But the problem this time is that I could no longer enter the celebration event, so I could only roll from the regular Ziolis, and of course, I ended up getting the spin fruit. I honestly hoped someone would kill me while I was holding this fruit. I continued to Snow Mountain to grind. By the way, this fruit isn't actually that bad when combined with a combat fighting style. With this, I can clear enemies pretty slow. Not as fast as Eagle or Ice Fruit, but at least it doesn't speed up the grind too much. After 2 days using Spin Fruit, I finally reached level 1100. And next, we're heading to the Hot and Cold Island. As usual, before moving to the next island, I rolled a fruit, and this time I got the Ghost Fruit. So this is my first time using this fruit. The damage from this fruit is actually pretty huge. The only problem is that it only has 3 skills that deal direct damage, and the V move just summons 3 ghosts with very low damage. After grinding to level 1175, it was time for us to move on to the next island. By the way, I consider the Hot and Cold map as 2 separate islands, so I rolled another fruit here, and I ended up getting the Chop Chop fruit. Even though this fruit is very low tier, it actually has an M1 attack and some decent abilities, which makes it surprisingly useful for grinding. After grinding with our favorite fruit until level 1250, it was time to roll another fruit before moving on to the cursed ship. This time, we got the spring fruit. Yes. Even though this fruit is pretty trash, at least it has 4 damage skills that let us clear enemies in just 1 combo. Now we're on the cursed ship. By the way, this map is extremely dark at night, so grinding here can be a bit troublesome. But the spring fruit actually works really well on this map. It has decent damage and plenty of skills to use. Now we've reached level 1350. I went back to the cafe to roll another fruit, and this time I got the smoke fruit, one of my favorites because of its high damage and the F move that deals continuous damage. But before moving on to the next island, I wanted to get the swan glasses, since that accessory has a lot of useful stats, especially the cooldown reduction. I went straight to the mansion and gave Trevor a fruit worth 1 million, then headed inside to grind for the swan glasses. I ended up defeating Don Swan 43 times before I finally managed to get the swan glasses. It took an incredibly long time to get this accessory. Now that we had the new accessory, I went back to the cafe, but the theme had changed to Halloween. After checking out a bit of the Halloween event, I continued my journey and headed to the ice castle. There, I kept grinding until I finally reached level 1425. I went back to the cafe to roll another fruit. This time, I tried using my candies to roll from the old man. But instead of getting a fruit, I only got a background decoration for my profile. Since that decoration is completely useless for our journey to reach level 2800, I decided to roll a fruit from Zyles instead. And I ended up getting a flame fruit. I moved to the Forgotten Island and continued grinding there until I reached level 1500. Now we can finally go to the Third Sea. The last thing we need to do before entering the Third Sea is to defeat Rip Indra. So I went straight to the Colosseum to meet King Redhead. He summoned Rip Indra and began the fight. When Rip Indra's HP dropped to around 50%, the battle ended, and we were shown a cutscene.
Later.
Now that we've defeated Rip Indra, we can finally head to the Third Sea. But before going there, I rolled another fruit, and we got a sand fruit, a pretty bad fruit for the Third Sea. I continued to green bit and went to the port to meet the experienced captain, who took us to the Third Sea. After arriving there, I immediately started grinding until I reached level 1575. It was time to roll another fruit again, and since the mansion was quite far from this area, I used my last gate potion to get there quickly. I rolled the fruit and ended up getting the ghost fruit. After that, I continued to Hydra Island for leveling. After grinding for quite a while, we finally reached level 1700. It was time to move to the Great Tree Island, but before that, I had to go back to the mansion to roll a new fruit. And this time, we got the magma fruit. I was really happy because this fruit is very good for grinding. It has high burst damage, damage over time, an F move that deals continuous damage, and pretty good area damage as well. With this fruit, I was able to grind easily and quickly until I finally reached level 1775. Now it was time to move to Turtle Island. I rolled another fruit and got the blade fruit, a pretty decent fruit for the Third Sea. I continued grinding as usual, but suddenly Rip Indra spawned. I rushed over there and joined the fight. There were a lot of people, but luckily I managed to land a few hits and defeated Rip Indra, earning the reward. With this, we can now pass through the portal in the castle. I continued grinding and finally reached level 1975. Before moving to the haunted castle, I went to Zeol's to replace my fruit and got another magma fruit. It's one of my favorite fruits, and the haunted castle is also one of my favorite maps. I continued grinding here until I reached level 2075. After that, I went back to the mansion to roll another fruit, and this time, we got the blade fruit again. I headed to Peanut Island to continue my journey and grinding here until I reached level 2125. By the way, I wanted to roll another fruit again because I consider the Sea of Treats to be more than just one island. It's actually made up of several islands: Peanut Island, Cake Island, and North Pole. So every time I finish grinding on one island and move to the next, I'm going to replace my fruit. So I went back to the mansion, but the mysterious NPC had disappeared, and I still had some candy I wanted to use. So I went back to the second sea to roll a fruit. Unfortunately, we got rubbish again. So I just rolled a fruit from Zyles instead. And this is what I got. I got a mythical dough fruit. After getting a dough fruit, I went to Ice Cream Island to continue my journey. Anyway, I have awakened this fruit so that it can be used for grinding. Well, I grinding with awakened dough fruit until reaching level 2201. In order to go to Cake Island, I rolled another fruit and ended up getting the flame fruit. It's a shame we had to replace the dough fruit. I continued to Cake Island and continued grinding until I reached level 2300. Now we could finally move on to Chocolate Island. I immediately went back to the mansion to roll a fruit, and this time I got the diamond fruit. After that, I headed straight to Chocolate Island to continue grinding. After finishing up on Chocolate Island, I reached level 2408, so it was time to move on to North Pole Island. As usual, I went back to the mansion to roll our next fruit, and this time we got the rubber fruit. After that, I continued to North Pole Island to start grinding. After reaching level 2450, it was time to move on to the Tiki Outpost. Before that, I went back to the mansion to roll another fruit. But unfortunately, I got the flame fruit again, which is pretty boring. After getting that boring fruit, I headed to the Tiki Outpost to continue my journey, and I grinded there until I reached level 2600. I went back to the mansion to prepare for the submerged island, and this time we got the ice fruit. Before we can enter the submerged island, we have to defeat the Tyrant of the Skies. Luckily, the requirement of defeating 200 enemies had already been completed, so all we needed to do was break the pot to spawn the boss. After spawning him, we fought the Tyrant of the Skies, but unfortunately, when his HP dropped below 20%, he despawned. So we were forced to look for another server that already had the requirements completed to spawn him again. Luckily, we managed to find one within about 5 minutes. We spawned him again and started the fight once more. This time, we dealt as much damage as possible right from the start, and we finally managed to defeat him. With that done, we could now enter the submerged island. Now that we're on the submerged island, the NPCs here have significantly more HP than the ones on the surface. Normally, using all of our skills once is enough to kill most NPCs instantly, but on this map, they still have around 40% HP left. To speed things up, I used all the double EXP codes I hadn't redeemed yet, and with that, I managed to reach level 2800 in just 2 hours.